Come up here, buddy. Hi, welcome to class this evening with Community Homeworks. Tonight we're going to be talking about homeowners insurance. I hope you've all had a chance to get your policy out so that you can ask questions that are pertinent to your policy. We'd like to remind you that we are virtual. You can watch us live, which I hope you're doing, or you can go back and watch this presentation at any time on YouTube or our Facebook page. I'm Jean, and I'm the Education and Volunteer Coordinator at Community Homeworks. You can reach us at any time at education@communityhomeworks.org. If you have questions in the future, we'd be glad to try to get answers for you. At any time, too, we certainly do welcome your donations. We are funded primarily through gifts and grants and appreciate anything if any of you can help to contribute. The information on how to do that will appear across the screen once class is started. If you're here from Habitat or Building Blocks, we're so glad you were able to join us also. Tonight, our presenter will be Kelly Peters. She owns an insurance agency here in town. We want to make sure you understand we are not selling insurance this evening, but Kelly, if you have questions, would be glad to talk to you or one of her employees. They're great folks. They know lots and lots of good information. And on your screen now is Kelly. And Kelly, I'm going to turn it over to you. Please tell us some about how you got into this business and the fact that you are a woman who owns their own company. I think that's really cool. And I will turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Jean. Hi, everybody. Welcome. I hope everybody is staying healthy along with you and your families. I'm Kelly Peters. I own a local Allstate office here in Kalamazoo. I'm actually, tell everybody, I'm an insurance nerd. This is what I went to college for, and worked for an Allstate agent for about 3 years before opening up my own office about 5 years ago. We specialize in home, auto, renters, life insurance. So I'm really happy to be here with you guys today and talk about some homeowners insurance. And I hope you all brought your policies and brought a lot of questions that hopefully I can help you answer. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and get into it and get started. So the first thing I'm going to touch on, just starting at coverage A, which is your dwelling coverage for your home insurance. And when I say dwelling coverage, what I mean by that is this is the coverage that's on your policy. It's going to say dwelling coverage. It's going to cover everything, the structure of your house. So when you think of your home, you think of your walls, your roof, your flooring, all of that's the structure of your house that is covered under that dwelling protection. So you really want to make sure this coverage is enough of a dollar amount to rebuild the structure of your house if you had a total loss. So definitely review that coverage, make sure you have enough coverage there, especially when times of inflation, like right now we're experiencing high building costs because of COVID. There's been a lot of shortage of supplies. So you have to take that into consideration as well when you're looking at that coverage. And I think there's a question here. So the question is, how do I find out who my homeowner's insurance is through? So April, how you would find that out is by either you probably would have received some communication from your company. So if you have like a policy that they've mailed you, or if you have a mortgage on your house and maybe your homeowner's insurance is in escrow, so it's just tied in with your mortgage, you could always contact your mortgage company and they would be able to provide you that information. So I hope that helped. So Next, from your dwelling coverage, you have your other structures coverage on your home insurance. So other structures is going to be anything not attached to the house itself, so not attached to the dwelling. So if you have a detached garage, if you have a fence, if you have a gazebo or a shed, or a nice pole barn that you keep all your fun toys in, this other structures coverage is going to cover the structure of those buildings that are separate from the house. So definitely, if you have any outbuildings, make sure there's enough coverage covered under that coverage as well. Next coverage is going to be your personal property. So your contents coverage. So all of your personal belongings. So you take the roof off your house, tip it upside down. Anything that falls out of your house is going to be covered under personal property. So think of things like appliances, furniture, clothing. And there are some limits on personal property items for certain losses, especially theft. So if you have some high value items that you want to make sure are covered under maybe their appraised amount or their first sale value, you can look at scheduling those on your home policy. Some things people schedule are jewelry, firearms, sports equipment, but those are the main things I typically see that are scheduled. Another coverage on your home insurance is going to be your liability protection. So this is really important for all you homeowners. This puts you at risk if somebody is hurt on your property and tries to then come after you for medical bills, wage loss, pain and suffering. Your liability protection on your home insurance is going to cover you for that lawsuit. So you definitely want to make sure there's enough coverage there to help cover things like your savings account, your equity in your home, your income, retirement. So all the assets you have to protect that you don't want to lose if someone were to sue you. Let's see here. I have a little cheat sheet that I'm looking at. So okay. So your homeowner's insurance is going to cover a wide range of what's called perils in the insurance world. And then we have another question from April. So antiques, is that something that's covered on your home insurance? Yes. So, and that is something that can be scheduled as well. So artwork, silverware, things like that you want to make sure are covered for the appraised value can be scheduled on your home insurance. So insurance covers a wide range of perils, and below are the most common ones. So the most common ones that we see, theft. So if someone breaks into your house and steals your belongings, that is going to be covered under your home insurance. Fire and smoke damage. So if you have a fire in your home, if it's a partial loss, if it's a total loss, it's going to be covered. Wind and hail, we've seen a lot of that in the past couple of years, especially damage to roofs and siding. Falling objects, so if a tree falls on the home, does any damage, there will be coverage for that. Freezing of plumbing. So you leave to go out of town, you turn your heat off, you come back and a pipe bursts. That is something that would be covered under the home insurance. A car crashes into your home, water damage from plumbing, the furnace, AC, or water heater. So if your home is too damaged to live in, there is a coverage on your home insurance called either loss of use or additional living expense. So this is going to provide a dollar amount that reimburses you for living expense. So it's going to help pay for you to rent a hotel, rent a home, food costs, travel costs, while your house is being repaired or rebuilt. So we talked about personal property. So all insurance has what we call a deductible on your home insurance. We have a question, what about flooding from rain? Good question. So home insurance does not cover water damage from groundwater. So any water that is coming into the home from the outside is not covered under home insurance. You would have to take out a separate policy for that called flood insurance. Flood insurance is regulated by the federal government. So it's all one set price. Depending on the coverage you want, you're going to pay X amount of dollars. And some people, if they're in a flood zone, are required to have flood insurance. If you're not required, it's actually less expensive. It's more affordable to have flood insurance. And especially with the heavy rains we've had here in Kalamazoo in the past, it's always a good idea just to look into it and see if it fits in your budget to have that flood insurance. So I hope that answers your question. So deductible. So a deductible is going to be what you pay first before your insurance kicks in. So normally deductibles average about $1,000 on the home insurance. And of course, the way insurance works, the higher deductible you're willing to take on, so you're saying, I'm going to take on more risk, the lower insurance premium you're going to pay. So definitely look at your policy, check out and make sure you're familiar with what that deductible is. Okay. So how do you get reimbursed? Oops, sorry about that. So how do you get reimbursed for damaged property during a claim? So I think this is the big thing that sometimes is hard for people to understand with how a payment works once a claim is in progress for your home. So how it would work is you put in a claim. Say you had damage to your living room. So you had a living room fire from your chimney. So you're putting in a claim for everything that was damaged. So let's just use a TV as an example. So you send in your inventory sheet to the insurance company, and the insurance company is going to look at that and give you a payout based on the actual cash value of those inventory items. So say for that TV, you put in the claim, the insurance company is going to give you $500 to go out and replace that TV. So you go out, you replace that TV, and you find a TV for $800. So what you do is you send that receipt into the insurance company, and they said, okay, that TV cost $800 to replace. Here's the additional $300. So what they do is they pay you an amount up front, what we refer to as actual cash value. And then once you start replacing those items, you have to send proof in of the replacement cost, and then the insurance company will issue you the difference. So I hope that makes sense to everybody. That's typically how all insurance companies work as far as a claim standpoint for receiving reimbursement from damaged property. It works the same if you have a roof claim. We had a lot of roof claims in the past couple of years with hail damage, and someone will come out and give an initial estimate, and then the insurance company will give them the actual cash value to get the work started. And then once the roof is completed and done, that homeowner will send in a copy showing, okay, the roof has been replaced. Here's what it cost. And then the insurance company will send the difference. So I hope that makes sense to everybody from a claim standpoint. So a question here from April is, should you still take photographs of the belongings in the home to claim them? So yes, it never hurts to just snap some photos of your home, because if I had a total loss to my home today, you're already razzled. You have so much going on. And then to sit there and make an inventory list, you're gonna forget half the things you have. So to be able to reference those pictures and just have them in case something ever does happen is really smart. And I would highly recommend that. Maybe take pictures and email them to yourself so you just have them on file if anything ever does happen. Okay. So to explain again, like how a deductible would work in the terms of having a claim. So say you had a claim to your roof, hail damage, and your roof was $20,000 to replace, and you have a $1,000 deductible. The insurance company then is just going to issue you payment for $19,000. So they will just take the deductible right out of their payment to you. And that is how that would work. All right. So this is just going a little bit deeper into liability protection. So a couple of liability claims that can happen to you are if you have children and you have a swimming pool or you have a trampoline, those are big risks that you're taking on. Because if you have neighbor kids over or your kid has a friend over and they get hurt while they're jumping on that trampoline or swimming in that swimming pool, ultimately that's your responsibility as a homeowner. So you're opening yourself up to possible lawsuits if something were to happen. The other thing is animals, pets. If your pet ever, for any reason, lashes out at a mailman, a FedEx driver, a neighborhood kid, they can ultimately come back on you, the homeowner, and sue you for any injuries that they have. So this is where the liability protection kicks in, and you definitely want to make sure you have enough coverage so you don't have to pay out of pocket for any of those lawsuits. Another coverage on your home insurance is guest medical. So this is to help pay for reasonable and necessary medical expenses if someone is injured in an accident on your property. So this coverage is typically anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000. So it's to really help with some of those smaller accidents that happen. So they are not going to come after you with a big lawsuit. Maybe they just want help paying an emergency bill or a deductible. So homeowners insurance does not cover everything. So we talked a little bit about flood. So home insurance does not cover groundwater coming into the house, so flood. Home insurance is there to protect you from accidental and sudden loss. However, it's not a maintenance policy, so it's not going to help cover basic maintenance repairs. For example, water heater cracks, damage to anything that's like, if you have a 20, 30, 40-year roof, that it's just, it's wear and tear. Your roof is falling apart because it just hasn't been maintained over the years. That's not something your home insurance is going to cover. It would have to be a sudden or accidental loss that caused the roof to be in a bad condition to be replaced. Go blue tonight, by the way. So question here, if a homeowner makes a claim, will their premiums automatically go up? So great question. I can speak for all states specifically when I say we have a couple package options that if you are in what we call our enhanced package, it does protect you from your rate going up for filing a claim. So a lot of our customers are in that package because it just makes sense to do. So they are protected against their rate going up from putting in a home claim. But company-wide speaking, insurance-wide speaking, anytime you typically put a claim into your insurance, you lose discounts, you get surcharged for that. So you would see premiums increase at that following renewal period. I'm gonna take another drink here. All right. So some other things that homeowners insurance does not cover would be earthquakes. And then flood. So we already talked about flood. So some optional coverages you can choose. So what we just went over, so to sum it all up, your normal homeowners insurance is going to come with dwelling coverage, other structures coverage, personal property coverage, liability coverage, and medical payment coverage. So those, every homeowner's policy has those coverages. And then you have your optional coverages that you can choose to add on and customize that home policy to fit the needs that you need. So some of the add-ons would be extending coverage for jewelry, watches, and furs. So you can increase your coverage limits for those products. We talked about it a little bit, but scheduling personal property. So provides an increased limit for a specific item that typically has high value and has been appraised. Identity theft restoration. Woo. So if your identity gets stolen, this coverage can help with legal work and phone calls and lost wages. So we actually have a team behind the scenes that's going to help you recoup your identity. So you really just have to put in that claim, and then our team is going to go to work to help close any accounts or find any accounts that have been hacked and really help you to restore your identity. Water backup coverage. So this is a claim we see a lot, unfortunately. And if you don't have this on your policy because it is an add-on, then you might not have coverage. But water backup, it's going to help cover damage to your home from backed up water from sewers, drains, or broken sub pumps. So a little story here. I actually have a couple stories about water backup, but my brother has a nice home, a nice finished basement, and him and his family were out of town on vacation, and they came home to about a foot of water in their basement because while they were gone, their sub pump backed up. So he spent, I believe it was about $10,000 to get all the water removed, redo the flooring. They had to cut about, a couple inches of drywall where the water had risen. So water backup, especially if you have, finished living area in your basement, is something that you do want to make sure is on your policy. Another water backup story, I had a customer who was just buying a home. So first time home buyer, didn't really know if he wanted to add on water backup or not. But thank God he did, because a couple months of being into the house, he discovered he had tree roots growing in his pipes. So anytime he went to flush his toilet or run his washer, the water would back up into his basement. So having that coverage on his policy helped pay for having someone come in, get the water removed, and replace anything that was damaged. Some more optional coverage. So this one's really important now that a lot of people are working from home, but you can increase coverage on business property that you keep at your home. Sports equipment. So if you have, expensive golf clubs or hunting equipment, you can add coverage on your home insurance for that. Musical instruments, cameras, electronic data recovery. So this is going to cover $5,000 towards recovery of lost data from computers, such as years of family photos, videos, and music. And then building codes coverage. That's something I recommend a lot as well, especially for older homes. So building code coverage is going to increase cost due to the enforcement of any building codes I can't say this word, I'm sorry. Ordinances and law, regulating construction, maintenance, or demolition of your home. So in simple terms, if you have a partial loss to your house, say a kitchen fire, and you need to get your whole kitchen redone. Well, if anything in that kitchen needs to be updated to code based on building codes, this coverage is going to help cover that expense. So you don't have to come out of pocket with that expense. And then some separate policies that you can purchase that we talked about, that flood insurance. So we can definitely help you with that. And then also a personal umbrella policy. So a personal umbrella policy, you might hear it referred to as a PUP. That's going to be an additional layer of a liability coverage over your home, your vehicles, and anything else you have insured. So if you have toys like motorcycles, boats, off-road vehicles, it's going to offer additional rental properties. It's going to offer an additional layer of protection over your assets. So if you exceed the liability limit on your home or auto, you'll have that additional $1 million to help cover you. And I had a really good question the other day. I was talking to a customer and he said, well, why would I get an umbrella policy? He's like, I feel like that would make me more of a target because, if a lawyer saw that I had $1 million in coverage, then they definitely are going to come after me. And I said, you know what? You're right. They probably will. However, having that umbrella policy and being involved in a lawsuit where now you're talking about the insurance company's money, not your money, the insurance company is going to work really hard to try to win that lawsuit for you because they're not going to want to pay out more than they have to. And what I mean by that is, let's say I'm trying to think of a horrific accident that could happen. You have a swimming pool and the neighbor kid thinks it's funny to jump in your pool and swim when you're not there. Well, one day when the neighbor kid is in that pool swimming, he drowns. So his family ultimately sues you. You have $300,000 of liability on your home and $1 million umbrella. The insurance company is going to go to bat for you in that lawsuit. So we have a team of lawyers that's going to work with you to help you through that, especially if you have that additional umbrella policy. So I hope that makes sense. Hopefully that paints a little bit of a picture of just what having that extra liability insurance can do. All right. Well, that's pretty much the basics of home insurance. I do have just some frequently asked questions I can run through if nobody has any other questions that they want to chime in here with. Okay, I am going to run through these. So some frequently asked questions that we have here is, what if I don't have all the information to file a claim? And contacting your insurance company as soon as possible can just help speed up that claims process. Because essentially how the claims process works is you would call me or call your agent and say, Kelly, this wind is out of control. I blew over a tree and it fell on my garage. So we would get that claim started by me inputting information into the system. Once I've put information into the system, the claim then gets assigned to a claims adjuster who will actually be the one working with you and handling your claim. So as soon as we can just get the process started, we'll help you have a more efficient, quick claims process. So even if you don't have all the information handy, at least call and try to get as much as you can filed with your agent. Another question, what else can I do to speed up the claims process? So we talked about this a little bit, but taking an inventory of your belongings before anything happens can be very useful in verifying what you have and what it's worth. So whether that's making an Excel spreadsheet, whether that's taking pictures, just making sure you know what you have, because I'm telling you, at the time of loss, especially if it's a total loss, your mind is going to be in a million different directions. You're not going to want to sit there and have to think about everything you just lost. Okay, I think I have a question. So Karen asks, on my policy, I have coverage for outbuildings. However, I don't have a garage, shed, or any other buildings on my property. Do I have to keep that coverage, or can I drop it to save money? Or does that cover other things? So Karen, that is a great question. And I get that question a lot. So other structures, it is a coverage built into the policy. So typically you're not being charged anything extra to have it. But on our Allstate policies, we can customize that coverage a little bit. So we can go down to a very bare minimum coverage, or increase it as high as you need, because maybe you have pool house and pole barns and all the other stuff. But typically on your policy, it's just a standard coverage that comes on your policy. You're not being charged anything extra. So it wouldn't be useful to remove it. And then another question here. So how often should I have my policy reviewed for updates or changes? So I would say definitely it does not hurt to just have your policy reviewed at least once a year. Typical home insurance is a one-year policy. So every renewal, you should just be looking at that renewal to make sure, everything is how you want it. And definitely, I would say if you don't want to review it every year, definitely every 3 to 5 years. And then especially if you have a life change, that's another reason to review your home insurance. So maybe you added a deck, maybe you added a pool. So now, like I said, you have that bigger risk there. So maybe you want to up your liability insurance. Now you're working from home. So maybe you want to make sure you have coverage for your office space. Another question I have here is, does it save money to insure my house and car? So yes, almost every single company, especially ours, offers a big discount to bundle. So to have your home and auto insurance with the same company is most of the time going to just make sense financially. So if it's not something you have bundled right now, I definitely would look at getting quotes for what it would be to be bundled. And if you are ever shopping for insurance, I would not just call to get auto quotes or call to get just home quotes. You always just want to make sure you're bundling because you're going to get the best savings that way. Any other questions? Okay. And then another question I have here is, can your home insurance be bundled if it's paid with your mortgage? And the answer to that is absolutely yes. I think a lot of times people with their home insurance is kind of like out of sight, out of mind. You know, it's not a bill they see getting paid every month, like coming out of their account directly, but it is included in your house payment. So you still want to make sure your home insurance is in line financially with what you want to be paying, because it could make a difference in your home payment every month. And from the insurance companies and switching your insurance when it is in your mortgage is actually really easy. Because you don't have to make a down payment. We bill everything to the mortgage company and we take care of that for you. So really all you have to do is provide us with your mortgage company and your loan number, and then we take care of everything on the back end to bill them, collect payment, and make sure everything gets handled correctly. So I hope that answers your question. So some other questions I've gotten in the past when I've taught this class, I wrote some of them down, is how do I know what coverage I need? And that's a great question. And that's something working with an agent, we can help you decide. So from a dwelling coverage standpoint, we have a calculator where we plug in details about your home, what year it was built, what's the square footage, how many bathrooms, do you have a fireplace, what's the siding? So based on all this data that we're collecting, our system says, okay, based on everything you put in here, this is how much it would cost to rebuild this house. So we really help you with determining, you know, that coverage amount and what you need. Along with that liability coverage, that's really big. We want to dive in and really figure out what assets you have to protect to make sure you have enough liability coverage if you are ever in a lawsuit situation. So another question was, how do I get the most coverage for the best cost? And we talked about that a little bit. Definitely with bundling. So you're going to save, with us, it's about a 35% savings to bundle your home insurance. You're also going to get the best coverage for the best costs for not having any prior claims history. So when we're looking at someone from a new business standpoint, so someone who's coming to us to get a quote, if they've had a home insurance claim in the last 5 years, they miss out on some discounts and some savings. But that's why I was saying it's important with our customers that we have now that they're in that enhanced package. So if they ever did have a claim, their rate's not going to be impacted from that. Some more ways you can get the most coverage for the best cost is making sure you have an agent who's asking you the details and the questions about your home, about your situation, because I have seen it where sometimes people are just overinsured because maybe the information that they got wasn't correct. So just making sure you're not overly protected when it comes to insurance. And then another question I had is, can I cover the damage loss myself? So I think what they meant by that question was, say, I'm just going to use the roof because that's a big claim that we have, but say hailstorm came through, damaged the roof, and you got some estimates, but you decided you want to, buy the material and do the work yourself. Yes, the insurance company is still going to cover it. However, they're not going to pay you the same amount they would pay a contractor. And what I mean by that is there's some extra fees that go into a claim payment to a contractor. Like they're going to bill the insurance company for hours and materials and things like that. Not saying you're not going to put in hours and materials yourself, but by doing the work yourself, you're taking less of a pay from the insurance company for doing it yourself. So they're still going to pay you the amount for the materials, things like that, but it might not be the max payout they would pay to have a company come and do it, if that makes sense. But if you choose to do the work yourself, you're usually dealing with your claims adjuster hand in hand about that payout and what that payout's going to look like. And I must say, we have awesome claims adjusters here at Allstate. And we even have, and I think, I know State Farm does, I'm not sure about some other companies, but we actually have a dedicated CAT team, so catastrophic team. So for instance, like all the tornadoes that just happened down in Alabama, in the Carolinas, our claims team is down, our CAT claim team is down there right now, and they kind of travel wherever there's big disasters to make sure those claims are getting handled in a timely manner, because they have a large majority of claims all coming in at once. When we've had some of our big hailstorms up here in Michigan, our high winds, our CAT team has been up here to help us, get our claims handled quickly and making sure our customers are, being paid out and that claim's not getting, taking forever to get settled. Any other questions that anybody has for me? I know insurance can sometimes not be the most joyful topic to discuss on a Tuesday night during March Madness, but I appreciate all of you tuning in here with me. And I believe Jason and Jean are going to display my contact information. So if you guys do have any questions that come up, feel free to give my office a call. You can email me. If you just want me to look at your policy, I'd be happy to do that. Again, I'm not here to sell you anything. I just love doing this class. I love it when it's in person and I get to talk with you guys and, answer your questions. So this is a little bit different, but feel free to definitely reach out if you guys have any questions. And thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Kelly. I would like to personally give Kelly a plug. She came and did our class several times, and I was in the market to shop for new coverage for my house and my car. And I called her office. I have never spoken to a nicer group of people. Everyone was helpful. When you call, it's one of her employees now answers the phone, and it's like, "Oh, hi, how have you been? How did you do it?" I mean, I feel like I'm talking to my friends when I call. I did not feel that she tried to sell me anything. And Kelly didn't personally handle my inquiry. One of her agents did. It was just such a calm and friendly and no pressure situation. But I do encourage you, if you have questions, even if you're not interested in changing insurance companies, please call. Um, April just commented, enjoy the game, go blue, since green blew
Go
it.
blue.
Tonight, I'm rooting for Leslie High School.
Nice. Very
Their
nice.
girls are playing, I believe, in a regional final basketball game tonight. Their
Okay.
wrestlers lost in the semifinals at state championships today. It was the first time their team has ever even made it to past like district level. So those boys are just, they did a great job this year.
Yeah, that's
The
awesome.
basketball team, boys and girls, are playing this week and advancing. So I hope they have a great year. I hope everybody will enjoy the games tonight, and you've enjoyed the games up till now, and there's a few more games yet this week. So if you're a basketball fan, it is your season. Thank you for joining us. Again, Kelly, thank you so much for sharing all of your knowledge. And folks, truly, if you have questions, you can contact Kelly personally. Her information just is going across the screen. Or you can always send your questions to education@communityhomeworks.org. I will get those, and I will try to find an answer for you, probably by contacting Kelly if it's an insurance question. But sometimes you have other questions about things that need to be done around your home, and we'll be glad to try to help you with those also. Thanks again for joining us. We hope you learned something. We hope you feel better about the policy you have or the policy you need to correct. And again, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next Tuesday. Bye.
Thank you. Have a great night.